obviously in the last few months, there's been a lot of talk about balance and the patches and all this. Why do you think people are talking so much more about balance these days?
I think that there are a few factors. So one is obviously tournament leisure or tournament performance by players, and two is social media these days.
Okay.
The third one is maybe tier list or top players tier list, probably opinion. Yeah.
Okay, let's talk about those things individually then, right? So
yeah.
First you said, why are people talking more about balance these days? Tournament results.
Tournament results, yeah.
Yeah, but we don't really even have tournaments these days.
No need these days. Maybe after
in general,
Evo Japan.
Yeah,
in general, yeah. So I think that the Twitch Tekken World Tour is the probably that's the official league, yeah. So probably like many people watch the event, and then that's where maybe they learn Tekken watching videos, right? So they see top characters who are being used in top 16, top 8, of course, and then they're considered top characters, and then it is obvious that we don't see all the 40 characters. So yeah, that's where I think that's where people kind of learn about tier list.
They learn about the game, the balance, and all that stuff from watching the tournament results. Totally random, separate idea. But I was streaming last night, and some guy came in my channel and said, "Man, without the TWT, I'm really missing Tekken. Like, I can't really get into the game as much." And I was like, "Wow, the tournament has so much impact." I didn't realize it. And I told him, like, a couple years ago, we didn't even have the TWT. Like, you would not be interested in Tekken at all. So the TWT is just amazing, right? So another reason you said people are.
Actually, I feel like there is one little factor that is related to the TWT is that nowadays it's totally online days, right?
Right.
So back in offline days, like arcade, people watch Twitch, but still there are offline community who shares about character, right? But these days you literally communicate tier or the Tekken only online, so you get affected by majority maybe, but on the other hand, you go arcade or offline community, then you can avoid playing against like top tier characters maybe, or maybe you wanna show your skill, like the character loyalty, maybe the mix-up setups that is created by only you. That is cool, yeah.
Yeah,
so
very
people
cool.
spend more. Yeah, people spend more time on their thing offline, I think. Yeah.
So you're talking about when you're talking about that, you're talking about before we really started moving online with the games, right? Like you're talking like Tekken 6 days or something. Once we had online and Tekken Tag 2 and stuff, people are like doing stuff online. But I feel like I know where you're coming from. But I think a lot of people watching this will not understand what you mean by that, right? They feel like I do that myself right now.
Okay.
But before, when you had like an arcade scene, you would go there and be like different people like, all right, I'm gonna show these guys this new thing I got, because people hadn't seen, right? And everyone wasn't watching Twitch all the time. Like there were YouTube videos, but it wasn't nearly to the level it is now. Like, right now, if you go on Twitch, there's like thousands of people watching Tekken, right? Same thing on YouTube, tons of videos now. There weren't content creators before. There weren't streamers. Right?
Exactly. Yes. Yeah.
Like you were lucky if you had like Gosu Tekken, ripping ears for commentating some random match from Korea that LD Maxi filmed on the camera or something, right? And like that was the only content that existed back then. But in that time, for us, the discovery period of the game was so different, and deciding which characters were top tier, you didn't really know. You didn't really get these giant global competitions where all these top players are traveling to the same place regularly. So yeah, you're right. Tournament results and viewership on like Twitch and Twitter and everything has really changed the game, right? And then you mentioned social media as well for people talking about game balance. Want to talk a little bit more about that?
So social media is the very like easy to get, the place where people get easy access, and then that is also just where we communicate, right? So people post their opinion, and then but I noticed that there are more people who complain about the balance than people who talk about this, like, hey, this game is fine, okay, whatever.
I never tweeting again.
Two factors, I think. Again, like the whole Tekken players, like people who bought Tekken, like 4 million people,
right.
4 million people, they don't share their opinion because maybe they like the way already the game, yeah, and then also the second is that the reason is that the people who are like complain or talk maybe it's not like actual complaint because they just show their opinion, right?
Sure.
But it's very small. It is obviously it's a very still small percentage of whole Tekken 4 million people, right? So it just seems like these guys are more talking than these guys. That's why it looks like it matters. It's a thing on social media. But I think that the fact is that like in anything in general, people who like things, like anything, like any games, any maybe computer, maybe any product. If they like it, they just don't post it because they don't have to. But people who have like negative opinion, of course, let's say I don't like this kind of product, maybe this kind of font, then I would complain as well.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like.
So do you think that's a good thing or a bad thing, though?
I think that it's a good thing, but they have to understand that they are very, very minority, and then also they have to understand Namco's intention as well. So, Namco intention, speaking of this, I think that we don't know Namco intention for sure. One thing is that we don't know they are gonna make Tekken esports game.
Yeah.
Right? Tekken Evo Japan has been only 3 years. 2 years? 3 years.
2.5? Something like that. I don't even know.
Tekken has been more than 20 years, right?
Yes.
But Tekken Tour, with a very small price compared to other esports, it has only 3 years, so we don't know their goal with the esports thing. Then second is that they should satisfy majority.
Yeah.
And
because you said there's like 4 million people playing the game, etc.
Yeah, which means the character diversity. Character speciality, character concept, and then the goal, Panda has to be fun, maybe something like that. So this is very complex. So we have to consider all the factors.
Yeah, no, I love that you brought up, that Tekken has only been an esports thing for a few years now, but Tekken the franchise has existed forever, right? So they're still very new to this, right? Namco is at least, Bandai Namco is, in terms of bringing Tekken to this competitive kind of state, I think a lot of people forget that this game currently gets patched a lot now. This is something that people aren't super happy about in some instances, because a lot of people want the game to stay the same and just kind of roll with it. But on the other side of development, if you have this development team that I saw Harada talk about this, where he's like, how do you keep a development team motivated? Like, they've been working on Tekken 7 for like 3 years. How do they come to work and be like, I can't wait to work on Tekken 7 again? Like, you have to say like, well, now it's season 3. And I think a lot of developers, when they want to put out a new game, they want to go like, well, I made Tekken 7, that's on my resume, and then I made Tekken 8, and it's on my resume. But now it's like, well, I made Tekken 7 season 1, and then I made Tekken 7 season 2, and I made Tekken 7 season 3. Like, did you make any other games? No, just Tekken 7 season 1, 2, 3. So it's hard to manage that, right? But I think that the game's in a good place, and we'll see where that goes. But social media, you mentioned, the vocal minority, kind of being so small. And it's important to remember how small they are, right? And I think a lot of times that when you see it on social media, it seems like this much bigger deal than it is. And I think that a lot of people, they buy into it. And I think the problem I have with it is that when you have a vocal minority, it influences people who don't know anything about it, and it changes the general like view of something, right? So in my eyes, when people were very unhappy after Leroy, as they should have been, and all those patches, etc., they were just getting more and more upset, which is understandable, right? But when they put out those bad vibes on social media, people who don't follow Tekken, who still follow them for other reasons somewhere, right? They start saying like, wow, look at all the Tekken players are unhappy. And that's what it seems like, even though it's that small minority. And everyone else who is happy, like you said, they aren't saying anything, right? Because they're fine with the game as is. So it ends up being this thing where, the broader people across the FTC or whatever who are like in this loop, they're all like, yeah, Tekken's really bad, you know, because that's all they hear, you know, and so it spreads to all these larger populations and the 4 million people. They're like, wow, is this game bad now? I haven't really been playing. I bought it when it came out, but now there's all these patches. It must be bad. I'm not gonna play it anymore, you know. So I think people gotta, you know, be a little bit careful with how they criticize the game, you know. Like it's fine to have criticism. I never people like complain about me saying that like, hey, you can't tell people not to have criticism. You can have criticism, just be critical in like a way that you're not saying like this game is trash or whatever, because that kind of stuff, that's just toxic. You're not helping anything. You're not pointing the game in the right direction.
I think yeah. Also, this is quite different than, you know, probably the people who talk, you know, like that, they probably must have consumed this game a lot, must have played a lot.
Say that
again? Doesn't mean consume. I say consume. Yeah.
Oh, they must have consumed this game a lot.
Yeah. That doesn't mean it has to get respected, maybe.
I don't understand. What do you mean?
Like, let's say you consume maybe one game like huge, like heavily, yeah. But let's say you reach all Tekken God Prime with the other characters.
Okay.
Then you
so
saying
you're like
that
the main man. Go on.
then you saying like there's nothing else to do in this game. This game sucks. It doesn't make sense because you consumed a lot.
Right. I got you.
Like everything. So I think that the character balance, the talking as well, looks like same way, maybe similar way.
A lot of people who have played the game a ton. Is that what you're saying? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, probably.
Another thing you said. So we said tournament results influence, you know, why people talk about balance so much. Social media and how that works. Basically, why people talk about balance so much. You also mentioned tier list and top players.
Oh yeah. So tier list is like, it's not tier list. I like seeing tier list. It's very interesting. Yeah, but so maybe it's not tier list, but I think like people tend to respect too much of the opinion of top players. So again, top players would be like 0.000000001% of the whole score. Right? Maybe me.
Yeah, you're
I feel very. Yeah, maybe I'm very super crazy heavy player who consume all the characters, all the frames, and then who say this game offline sucks. That's me, you know. I don't even play the arcade mode. That's shitty mode for me, yeah?
Yeah.
But I have to understand that people like that too. People want to know the story. I don't want to know the story. I don't give a shit. Yeah? But I don't have a right, you know. I have nothing to say about it.
I like
because
I'm a casual, bro. Leave me alone.
Yeah. So also the tier list. That's so very minority as well. Again, and the second reason is that the characters works differently on different level, different rank maybe. So I said Hakunami is super good, but lower level probably not, because lower level easy tools like such as throw, such as simple low moves, Kazumi factory, down backboard maybe low dragon tail as well, because they don't know how to punish you well. Right? So low might be better character than Pakuna in lower rank. Also Mishima, I think Mishima is super good, but Mishima requires a lot of work. Yeah. So stronger level, like higher rank, Mishima better, but lower rank, Mishima is worse, of course.
Right.
But so the thing is that you have the majority are still the lower rank, maybe green rank. I'd say maybe green rank, or popularity is like green rank, yellow rank, even probably lower than yellow rank, to be honest.
I think so.
Yeah. So my opinion, like Tekken got this rank, you know, who compete who travel all the world. My opinion shouldn't get respected for the game balance or game intention, I think.
Your opinion should not be looked at. Is that what you're saying? For the majority of the game?
Kind of.
For the majority of the players, I guess, right? Because you're saying...
Yeah. For the majority...
Yeah. If I'm understanding you correctly, you're saying that your opinion for tiers doesn't actually matter because it doesn't apply to the majority of players who play the game, because they are all at a much lower rank. And at that lower rank, the tiers are very different than at your level of the game.
Yeah. And then, to be specific, I remember this interview that Harada had 3 years ago. It's even before Tekken Tag 2 maybe, that he got complaints a lot from from beginners that they think Eddie is too good because all Eddie does is just like 3+4 kick all day, and then the animation looks totally same for them. So that's what he said. This is kind of
kicks, man. Just mash the kicks, dude. That's all you gotta do.
Yeah, exactly. So tier list, yeah. So yeah, the tier list for it depends on the on your level, on the player's level.
That's cool, man. Because tier lists get a lot of traction. So basically, your tier list suck for the majority of people, but I should make a tier list because my level would be good, right? Everyone would be like, "Yeah, all right, that applies to me." Rip's trash. All right, I got it. I got to make a tier list. I got it. Okay, cool.
Yeah, you gotta make it. Yeah,
I gotta do it. Yeah. All right, let's see. So we talked about a lot of stuff, man. We talked about how you define which characters are strong or weak in a game, based on the system of the game. We talked about why you should balance a game, tournament viability. We talked about why people are talking about balance so much these days. But when you take all those things into account, how do you actually end up picking a character?
Me or like I would recommend someone else. I would recommend, of course, easy character, like efficient characters.
Easy, efficient character. That's what you think people should do.
Yeah. For example, who have like easy command input maybe? Like Lars or Paul, Low maybe. Eddie. Eddie maybe no, but
I mean, he's easy, bro. You saw Harada, he's top tier, bottom level. Yeah, but I mean, like, what are the things you break down, I guess, for like players, let's talk about you yourself, right?
Okay.
Like, if you had to pick a character, how would you do it?
If I pick up my character.
Yeah.
So I think that if like experienced players, when they have to pick a character, then they have to consider their tendency, like player tendency, of course. Like, let's say, first of all, you have to know that your style, of course. If you prefer being defensive, or or you wanna go just attack. For example, to speak me, I play very defensive in any game. Like, Tekken, I play very safe, and then also I was playing League, but my main was like mid lane. Also, Carlos Anivia, who does just farming all day.
So League of Legends, you play super safe too, right? You just you're not even trying to fight people. You're just trying to get all the little minions and get your gold.
Yeah. So that's my tendency. So speaking of this, maybe I should pick a character who have got more fundamental moves, maybe, and then
Interesting. So you think that player tendency and playing to your own strengths is like the number one thing you should look at when you pick a character. So for example, like with me, and I didn't even know that this was a strength of mine until I realized it playing a lot of different games. But I love characters that can zone, right? So in like zoning in 2D games is like when you just throw a bunch of projectiles and play far away from the opponent. Don't let them even get close, right? Play keep out all day. It's one of my favorite things to do, right? So like in Tekken, the way I translate that is with timeout situations. If I have a life lead, I'm very comfortable, right? I know how to play away from people and prevent people from coming in at me. So for me, that would be my strength, right? So, and I'm trying to think of that for me in other genres. Man, I don't even have any idea. Like, I've been playing a lot of Valorant lately. It's a shooting game. I'm totally new to it. But, like, I don't think that I do that. I feel like sometimes I just go crazy. I just go like, I'm just going to run in and start shooting things, But other times, I'm like, all right, I'm going to be very patient. I'm just going to sit and wait in this corner. And like they're going to come out of that spot eventually. And when they do, I'm going to be ready. I mean, what about your characters, right? Like, I mean, obviously, for Heihachi and Dragunov, right? Like, those are two. Like, how do you kind of decide between those two? And like, especially with Heihachi, right? Because you could have picked any Mishima. Like, why Heihachi?
That's the question I get a lot. So it is also about player tendency. I think that, to be honest, if we only talk about the tier list, like between Mishimas, I think, then I think the Heihachi is probably worst. Maybe I think. Yeah,
you think he's a bottom tier Mishima?
Yeah.
Damn, you're a low tier hero with your Mishima Heihachi out there, huh?
I pretty much say he's the worst, I think. Yeah.
Okay.
But this is also about player tendency being safe or zoning. Yeah, right. I like that too. And then maybe patient as well. So Heihachi is the character, he lacks of a strong mid or low move. So my player tendency says, hey JD, you shouldn't do that. Okay, but Heihachi himself naturally he isn't supposed to do that as well, like low mid attack, right? So I do more spacing, electric, safe, down forward, one forward, four, this kind of long game, right? But Kazuya and Davidson, they require to do more risky mix-ups. But me as a person, myself, I hear that this person tell me, you stop, please stop, yeah? But I pick Kazuya and Davidson, I want to help it because this is hella funny, hella fun, yeah?
Wow.
And then I see like people, punish me, and I'm like, I shouldn't do that. I don't know. But
yeah, that's really funny.
Yeah. So this is player tendency. If you wanna take risk, but also you wanna have fun, like being offensive or pressure with the wave there, then definitely you have to play the original Kazuya.
Interesting. So if you think even though Heihachi is a lower tier character out of the Mishimas, you are better with him and he suits you better because when you have those other characters, they make you do riskier things because that's your player tendency with those better characters, and it makes you a worse player overall.
Yeah, So, and then also, and then Heihachi has got more tools that give myself plus frame by 4-4 or 4-3-4, which is actually not that good, but anyway.
it's a launcher now, right?
But I guess it anyway. So he has been this kind of character back in from Tekken 6, right?
Right.
So I like him.
No, it's just so interesting, right? Because that means that even if a character is considered top tier at your level, it might not suit you, the player, that character style, right? So you have to pick a character that is what people consider a good character, and also one that fits the way you want to play the game. Right? That's interesting. That's very interesting.
Well, I mean, of course, you can practice if you think others are better, but we are just talking about the tendency, or
right.
So yeah.
I mean, it's obviously interesting too, like how to pick a character, because I think the only time that we had this exception, again, going back to Evo Japan 2020 when everyone picked Leroy, right? It just is the only time where it's like, well, this character is clearly so good, you have to pick this character if you're trying to compete, right? Like we haven't really had that in Tekken in a long time, I think like the last time we actually had it was in Tekken 5.0, or maybe Tekken 4 even. I think even in Tekken 5.0 there's a variety of dumb broken characters. Right? Like there's like Steve, Brian, like etc. Right? Nina.
Yeah.
So I think it was only Tekken 4 where it was the last time we saw it this bad, right? But I think right now we're nowhere near where Evo Japan was. But obviously, Book, he did it, right? He was known as a Jin player.
Oh, yeah.
But he came to Evo Japan. He picked Leroy because that's what he had to do. A lot of people picked Leroy in that tournament. Book ended up winning the tournament. But I feel like this is kind of like the Olympic swimming thing we started talking about originally, where there's 200 world records that got broken after that new swimsuit came out, and then they're like, hey, wait a second, that's whack, so they banned it, right? And instead of us banning it, we nerf Leroy now, right? So what happens though is that you look at all those things that happen, you put a little asterisk next to it, like, oh well, you won, but asterisk, you wanted Leroy, you broke those world records in the swimming, but asterisk, you were wearing that cheater swimsuit, so it kind of sucks because you want to get the W, but you also don't want that asterisk, I feel like. But if you're playing for a lot of money or something, $250,000 on the line or something, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Yeah, and then everybody was like, I was at Evo Japan, oh, you are too, but like 50 or 60 players like playing Leroy.
I was surprised.
And then you're surprised. I was surprised too, actually, because I didn't know like people wanted to win this much. Like,
exactly. Dude, honestly, when we were at Evo Japan, I was hanging out with Logan, who's from, he's a Street Fighter commentator, right? So I was hanging out with Logan and Tay Steve, and he asked me before the day happened, he said, like, how many Leroys do you think we're going to get in top 8? And I said, this is before the tournament started. And I said, like, honestly, I think we're probably only going to get like 2. And I said, I think that Tekken players are very loyal to their characters. That's what I said. And instead,
that's what I thought.
Yeah, that's what I thought. We had Evo Japan. It was like Leroy. I was like, wow, this is very surprising. So You know, we were all caught off guard by that. And the most surprising thing to me about it was how many players from Japan picked Leroy. I just, for some reason, I just didn't have that that view that, you know, the Japan community was so invested in just picking the top tier character, you know? So it really caught me off guard.
I didn't, but I didn't actually, you know, I didn't know that as well. But I also think that Leroy, so it's all same characters, but it also based on the player tendency too.
Oh yeah, for sure.
So, yeah, for sure. So you play Leroy. I mean, of course, strong character, but Leroy is supposed to take risky. He has to go attack more because he has got short range, quiet, but his mix quite strong. I mean, super good. But so defensive players, they are not actually good with Leroy like me, because I will pick safe option naturally.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
You gotta be willing to take some risk with that character, even though he's so good, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And that's what's so interesting about it is that Book was the guy who ended up winning, right? Because when he was, when he is a Jin player, right? When he's known as a Jin player, though, he's one of the parry Jins, right? He's one of the better parry.
Yeah.
And then you get this character Leroy, who has one of the best parries in the game. You're like, this is a good combination. This player tendency lines up with this top tier character. You know, and Jin has to do his hell sweep too. He's used to taking that kind of a risk. You know, he knows when to do it. And then he's got this hell sweep with Leroy. So a lot of those character similarities lined up, I think, and you saw Book win it, right? So even though there were 60-something Leroys or whatever the number was, Book was the one that ends up winning because the character lined up with the player tendency best, I think. So I think that's pretty interesting. Anything else you want to mention? I think we covered a lot here today about game balance.
A lot here.
Right? We talked about, like, okay, so let's recap. Let's recap. So we talked about you know, balance competitively. Obviously, people always can take whatever advantage they can get, right? We talked right now about, you know, how you should pick a character. We said pick something that lines up with your tendencies as a player, and you're not going to know that until you kind of explore a little bit, right, within the game or within other games to kind of understand yourself better, right? We said, you know, what makes a good character, what makes a character strong, what makes a character weak, right? We listed off all things in Tekken 7. You know, it's like stuff like damage, you know, risk reward options, you know, energy expenditure versus efficiency, etc., right? Each of the individual system mechanics like hotcakes and low parries, etc. Then we talked about why we should balance stuff. You know, should stuff be should every character be viable in tournament? You know, we kind of agree on most of those things, I think. You know, should all the characters have the same tools? No. And then, you know, we talked about, you know, how people talk about balance now these days. Anything else you want to talk about game balance in general? We cover everything?
I think that as a player, I feel like I have to follow Namco's direction anyway. I think, like, I'm a player,
right? Yeah,
any development. So we have to understand their direction or intention first, and then also I don't like Pirate being super heavy consumer player of this game. You know, little bit, because I also feel kind of bored when you talk about content, like Tekken content in the game.
Okay.
But, you know, also I know that I'm aware of the fact that I'm this small portion, tiny portion. And then, oh, this one thing, I forgot to talk about it, that this is also very new to me, that actually Namco patches quite often. So I really don't know how I think about this, because this is good, because new Tekken comes out like very often. It's good, right? But on the other hand, we never had this quiet patch before Tekken 7. So at the same time, I feel like you don't have time to enjoy one character, or even like level character maybe. Dude, I really like original Leroy because he was stupid good. It's just fun, yeah.
I liked it too. I don't think anyone didn't like it except for everyone who had to play against Leroy. You know.
Also, there are some people actually, when Leroy first came out, there are also some people who didn't even try Leroy because they like the design, but they don't like him being super good. So they are waiting for patch. Yeah.
Let me ask you this then. You know, obviously, Falkenraum is out. He's got a lot of hurtbox issues, which may or may not be intentional. You know, kind of like how bears have problems.
I wouldn't call it issue.
You think that's intentional?
I mean, we don't know that. That's the thing.
Okay, but I'm asking what you think though. Do you think that that combos and strings should miss on him like they do right now?
That's the intention, probably.
Yeah. So you think that's intentional? So you, like, because you know how bears have weird combos you have to do on them sometimes, or you know, but so obviously Fakumram's a taller character. He's got a little petite waist and everything, so a lot of people miss on him, right? So that's interesting because I have the same kind of idea. You know, there was a Lucky Chloe combo just came out from her changes back one launcher. She can do the same combo on every character, but in Fakumram it doesn't work. But she knows that, and so you know, this player Pit Viper posted a tweet where she showed that you could do this other combo instead. So this raises, you know, matchup awareness sort of deal. I don't know how much of it they're going to change. I hope they change it. But do you think that this character is going to be majorly nerfed? Because you said that you think, just like Arslan Ash, that he's the best character in the game. Do you think that they're going to majorly nerf Fakumram?
I think that, actually, to be honest, I think for this is very difficult. I don't want to see him change it, to be honest. I don't
want to see him change.
First of all, I don't like the fact that they just change it too often.
I agree.
Like they change it like in 2 months or 3 months after the release. I really don't think this is good for any game.
I think most of us want the game to stay the same for longer periods of time, right? So I think the problem is, you know, when Leroy came out and they didn't patch it well, and then they needed to make another patch for it, you know, and so they had to keep on going through that cycle, right? But I think right now we're reaching a point where everything is solid again. Like Leroy, I think still needs a little bit of tweaks. Fakumram, if you guys are right, because I don't have enough Fakumram experience, but if you guys are right, I think Fakumram needs to get nerfed again, and soon, so that we can keep the game steady longer afterwards. You know what I mean? So if Fakumram is the best character in the game, I think we should change him now.
Okay, that's cool. Yeah, but I also got a small idea that why would we only like talk about only top characters? What about like bad characters, worst characters?
They're fine.
That's the thing. I mean, that's the thing. If we want patch from the patch that changes Fakumram, then also there might be opinion. There must be opinion who said, "Dude, Armor King has to get buffed." You know,
right? Dude. I mean, there's a lot of things about this. So first of all, specifically about Tekken, right? Harada already said this latest patch that came out, their game balance team, they're working from home, etc. They haven't figured it all out yet. You know, this is part one of their changes. More changes are coming, and in this patch they buffed Eliza, Gigas, Katarina, Lucky Chloe, right? So a lot of characters that people think are lower tier, they buffed up, right? So personally, like, I think that it's cool, you know, but I don't think that really changes anything, right? Like, if this is what they changed for Gigas, like, does this mean Gigas is now a top tier character? You know, I don't think that really helped that much, right? Like, sure, it gives those players some new stuff to play with, you know. But when I think back to the changes that we used to get from like Tekken 5 to Tekken 5 DR, you know, it's like 1 or 2 new moves per character, and then some minor changes. Otherwise, the game is mainly the same, and I think that's fine. I don't think, and I think people like Tekken 7, and I think that it shows in the sales and everything, right? So I think that we don't need to change the game that drastically. If people want that much changes, it's because they're getting bored of it, which is fine. It's understandable. It's been the same game, quote unquote, for a long time, you know. So I think it's Tekken is in an interesting place right now. We'll see what they want to do with it. Balance wise, more changes are coming. Unfortunately, like I think all of us don't want. We'd all prefer all the changes to come at once and just stay with the game for a long time, right? We don't want to get a new patch every month that has, here's 3 more character change, here's 3 more character change. You know, we don't want that. We want more at once and leave it stay longer. I think that's what everyone wants. All right. So that about wraps things up here today, guys. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode on Game Balance. Of course, I'm Rip. This is JDCR. You can follow us down below. If you guys have any suggestions for other topics you might want to hear us talk about, make sure you leave that in the comments down below. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel, ring the bell for the notifications, turn that thing to all, not personalized. Anything else you want to say, JD, before we go?
Thank you for watching.
All right. We'll see you guys next time. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye.
Oh, man, that one was hard.
That one's hard, man. Controversial.
Yeah, very hard. A lot of stuff to talk about now. We could talk about that one forever.
Yes, exactly.
I think that's the real problem.